Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of this show. We don't have a name. If you have one for us, let me know. This is the show where I show you how to make simple things with things you probably have in your pantry already. Today we'll be making Bolognese sauce. What you're gonna need is 2 pounds of ground beef. This is 85/15. I've got 1 medium onion diced. I've got 3 cloves of garlic minced. 1 medium carrot diced, 2 stalks of celery diced, 2 cups of chicken stock, tomato paste. I like it in the tube because I can save some of it instead of that little can. A couple bay leaves we'll be using, some red pepper flake, oregano, salt, pepper, and then we have a 28-ounce can of whole peeled tomatoes. These are San Marzano tomatoes. Technically, you can use whatever kind of tomato product you want. If it's going to be diced, if it's going to be, I don't know what I got. But you want a 28-ounce can. I also have something that's not normal. In this little squeeze bottle, I have what we know as banana ketchup. It's basically like what Filipinos use as ketchup sometimes. Just sweeter kind of condiment. You don't have to use it. I use it because it adds a little bit of a sweetness to the recipe. So let's get cooking, shall we? All right, so first thing you want to do is brown your meat. I'm gonna do that in a Dutch oven. It's a heavy bottom pot. You don't need a Dutch oven, but you do need a pot that's big enough to hold a lot. So in here, I'm going to put this on high, let it get hot. Now, while you're waiting for this pot to get hot, open the can of tomatoes, and what you want to do is strain it into. So in the can, it's basically whole peeled tomatoes and then a sauce. You want to drain or strain the sauce into another pot, smaller pot, because you want to make a kind of reduction out of that. With the tomatoes, you want to carefully crush them in your hand. I know it's gonna get gross if you don't like touching food, but it's honestly fun. You can use a fork if you want. Just know that you have to kind of do it slowly because they will squirt on you. And then you kind of let it drain for a little bit because it is a thicker tomato sauce that's in there. So while you're doing this stuff, have that draining in the pot. So for this, I'm going to have a little extra virgin olive oil. Get a wooden spoon. And basically, I'm just going to dump this in here. So that's what you want to hear. I'm not going to totally break this up. I'm going to let it brown for a little bit. You really want that kind of caramelization to bring out the flavor. Plus, it's going to stew for a long time, so it'll break up anyway. So this is just for flavor and for color. Now I'll start moving around. I'm not really breaking it up, but I'm trying to get some of the other pieces that are not in contact with the pot to brown up. All right, so I don't have to worry about actually cooking it outright because it's going to stew for hours, so it's going to cook anyway. I just wanted to kind of get a flavor from searing it a little bit. So at this point, I want to just take out the beef, actually. So you see there's still a lot of that rendered fat in here. You don't want to use that. So I'm going to get rid of it. Now you're going to cook the vegetables. So again, a little bit of oil. Add your onion and your carrots and the celery. This is what you call a mirepoix. What it stands for? I don't know. Sometimes in Italian cooking, the mirepoix is actually carrots, onions, and green pepper. To this, you want to add your salt and pepper. Lightsaber. The light side lightsaber with sea salt. You can use kosher salt. I just like the dramatic effect of using that lightsaber on the camera. So what you want to do is cook this until the onions are translucent. You're basically developing flavor. So you can certainly throw this all into a slow cooker and do this, but the flavors won't be as pronounced Alright, now that the onions are a little translucent, I'm going to add the garlic. A little bit of oil on there. If you add the garlic too early, it could brown. Alright, at this point, let's go ahead and add the beef back in. It's a lot of dip. Give it a nice mix. Alright, it builds up this fond in the bottom. That's what you want to get out. This fond is flavor. The recipe does call for about 1 cup of white wine. I don't have any, so I'm going to use a cup of chicken stock. You're basically deglazing the pan at this point. So you kind of want to get into the bottom and kind of scrape it. Now you also want to add your tomato paste. A couple tablespoons. You basically want this kind of coat everything. This will give it a more intense tomato flavor. So at this point you want to add a couple of bay leaves and your tomatoes. Should look like this. Now I'm not going to season it at this point. I want it to cook for a while before adding the seasonings. I'm gonna add a little more chicken stock to cover, and then it's gonna reduce. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more chicken stock. Now at this point, if you want a really saucy Bolognese sauce, I would use a second can of tomatoes and a lot more chicken stock. Speaking of reduction, so I said to drain the other tomato sauce that's in the can into another pot. Looks like this. What you're going to do is reduce this sauce further. So I'm going to add some salt and pepper to it. Then put this onto a simmer as well. You want it to reduce by half. It'll concentrate the flavors, and we add it in here, give it even more flavor. You don't want to waste any of that stuff that's in that can. You see this is bubbling, so you want to reduce this down, the main pot. You want it at barely a simmer, because you don't let this flavor develop for a couple hours. Give this a stir. And once we get this to a simmer, we're going to cover it for a good hour, just to let that all marinate. Then after the hour, we're going to slightly uncover it to let the moisture out, and then it'll start to reduce. Now, is this traditional? I don't know. I've developed this from many different iterations from different recipes I found online, from the Food Network, cookbooks. So this is an amalgamation of different things. This is simpler, so I like it. This is starting to bubble, so I want to reduce that. I don't want it to boil off too fast. Same thing with this. That's kind of how I want it. So I'm going to cover this. And when I let this cook, I'm going to let this cook for an hour. Like this as well. So I'm going to leave this uncovered because we want this to reduce. So we'll check back on this in a couple minutes. All right, so the sauce has reduced. We're going to add it to the pot. Carefully remove the lid. Check that out. Boom, 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 boom. So I'm going to add this. Stir this again. So it's been about half an hour. I'm going to let this cook again for another half hour, covered. Then I'm going to come back, uncover it, cook it for about another 20 minutes, check it out, and then add all the seasonings. See you in, what did I say? Half an hour? Yeah, half an hour. I know what you're thinking. Hey Rich, where's the talk about nerd stuff? Well, since we're going to wait a while for this, I figured I'd do something, and so we're going to go build some Lego. So here's me building the Tron Legacy Light Cycle Lego set. It's a 230 piece set from the Lego Ideas line. It's a fun little thing. I've had it for a couple years already. So yeah, enjoy. Oh, do you want some Tron interlude music for this? Do 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 do. Yeah, I don't know if I can do any more because of copyright things. So just loop that a bit. I gotta watch this movie again. I remember Cora with 2 swords. Unless they gave me extra, but still, that's cool. I wish there was a way to light this up. Ta-da! Alright, let's get back to cooking. Alright, it's been cooking about half an hour. More. So, I'm going to add pepper, all the seasonings, salt, add some oregano. Just eyeball. I'm going to taste it later anyway, see if we need to add some more. Now, if you're using dried seasonings, less is more. They're a little more potent than fresh. Now for some optionals. You have crushed red pepper flake. Just a little bit. You don't have to do any if you don't want a little heat to it. And also the banana ketchup I was mentioning. We're going to leave it uncovered at this point. Well, covered a little bit. For another 20 minutes and see how it looks. If it's barely saucy, then we can stop. But yeah, at this point you want to keep checking it every, like after 20 minutes and check another 5 and another 5 and another 5. So we'll see another 20 minutes. Alright, it's been simmering for another about 15 minutes or so. This is what you kind of want. It's not super saucy. See? You want to fish out the bay leaves. While I was waiting for this to finish, I started a pot of water with some fettuccine noodles. What I like to serve this normally with is tagliatelle, which is a wider ribbon noodle, wider than fettuccine. But, you know, I can't really go to a store to get a special kind of pasta. So I like the ribbon over spaghetti. If I was doing a more saucier, traditional meat sauce, I would probably use spaghetti. But I like the ribbon noodle for this. So this is good. So I'm going to turn this off. This is just about done, so I'll turn this off and drain it. All right, so pasta's done, sauce is done. I like to finish the pasta with the sauce. So you want to take a ladle for this much, maybe 2-ish. And then go ahead and just mix this in. All good in the hood. Alright, so here you go. That is pasta bolognese. I'm just gonna top it a little bit with some Parmesan cheese. And there you go. Bon appetit! Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you subscribe, please hit the bell notification. Lets you know when we have new content. And yeah, hope you're all staying safe. Hashtag stay home, quarantine yourselves. Stay safe.